Right, let's get going. Right, thanks for joining us. Been quite a bit happening in the last couple of weeks. Because obviously last week there was no Zoom because I had my gardening club. Right, let's get going. Super soil. I tried all this and mentioned it on my last couple of Zooms. I'm still waiting for this is a new one they bought out recently. I think this come out and I've updated the stuff itself. But I've still got to try it on my compost yet. I didn't find that much difference trying it one thing against another. I saw no improvement at all, which must have upset me a bit. But on my compost, I had springtails, so it worked that way. But I have messaged them before, and they haven't come back or anything. The smallest one they do now is 10 gram, 35 quid. No gardener is going to pay 35 quid for a 10 gram, 100 square meters it does. Don't forget this was first of all for the farmers. That's how farmers have been using it for like their 250 acres. That's going to cost them bloody bomb. I've said if you bring it, because they had a 10, I think it was a 2 gram and a 3 gram, whatever. I said just bring a smaller amount, and then a normal gardener will have it, and they can afford to trial it. But at that price, 35 quid. Well, I only had it because it was a free trial, but I wouldn't pay 35 quid for it. Somewhat else I asked them, me and Muddy Boots went on this earlier on in the year, Green Farm Collective. And this was in Wolverhampton, luckily. Muddy Boots lives in Wolves. And I picked him up en route, him and his mate, and took him to it. Basically, these two run it. But obviously, these are middle and well, the farmers come from it. I think there's one from Isle of Wight as well. But these trial and error with everything. Obviously, the name's in the title, Green Farm Collective. And I asked one of the main men, ever heard of this new fertilizer, Super Soil? No. And I said to Super Soil themselves, I says, this place, somewhere like this, because they've got it again next year, the Green Farm Collective. They have loads of different stands there with different things. There's one there flogging biochar, wormcast, everything, just because I can advertise the stuff to farmers. Like. And I said, your super soil, if you have a stand there, because farmer inputs, and most of them are from Northern Ireland, there's a couple from England, but they never got back to me super soil or anything. So that's why I'm still a bit skeptic. Anyway, hold on. Let's move on. Right, I get this. I've got to get one every month. Obviously, this is obviously the because my phone goes with me. And these are the places I've been in July, and talks are well down this year. They have been since the COVID took off. Quite a few clubs are struggling, collapsing, and that's life. Right, Miss Sylvain from Canada, my Canada man, who I had my seeds off this year. A quick note to those I've shared and pollinated hybrid Canada seeds with, i.e., me being one from the UK. If you don't share pictures of the babies, chances are I won't be sharing any more seeds with you. It's like that. Rare breeders who share their genetic material. Now, the one thing I ask you to share your photo so that I can see the results of my work. Yes, these are your canners now, but from my work, it involves no effort and is a basic mark of politeness in the spirit of friendly sharing. This also goes for anyone who shares their seeds with you. Huge thank you to all who share the photos of the babies. You encourage me to do more exciting crosses, and I really appreciate your kindness. That's his first photo of the day. That's one of his photos, obviously, of one of his greenhouses with his stock. He's got quite a few new ones out. I think there's 40 new ones I've seen so far, which he didn't have last year. This is through cross field pollination. And he says you can get some corkers out and they're new ones. Everything he's given me, I've put it on from start to finish. So I've done my little bit for him, but he's just having a go at the people that ain't put stuff on. Because I think he's found somebody who's put stuff on saying that it's their stock. And I think that would upset me as well. Right, the tragic unseen side effects of the Women's World Cup. I thought that was a good one, so I nicked that bung there on. Right, if you remember Colin, he had been very well. He was a Zoomer for quite a few years, and he ain't been on for a bit because of his illness. But he did get in touch with me, asked me to pick up a lawnmower for him, and anyway, somebody picked it up. Cheers, Mick. Mo's delivery all good. Thanks for the extras as well. We'll catch up soon. Off tomorrow for a MRI scan again. Cheers. So, wishing Colin all the best. That was another good one I've nicked. Great, there. Right, bow char. I tell you, it's in the garage, need topping up. This is Rollies bow char with stallion juice. So these two was carried up to the greenhouse because I needed to top up because everything now is, well, majority of the stuff is stored in the garage. So the Mrs. Car gave it in the garage for good years. That's me just top my watering can up for when I do my composting. Obviously, I can't take a photo of poured it in because I've only got 2 hands. But I've just made another good dollop of compost ready to go in the bin. So go round to the bin, take the lid off, 3 bits of carpet, loads of worms. Don't forget this is only about 5 days from the last input. So them lot are working away merrily already. So I've thrown that lot in, spread it out evenly, give it a good water with stallion juice because it was dry. It is now moist. That's what the worms want. I'll then go back on that one. I'll then shake all the carpets, meaning the worms that are in there between the 2 layers. I'll shake them worms on top. So I've got mixed worms. And that will be renewed with a tater bag from Wilco. Wilco, hang on, bump, ain't they? Gordon Bennett. And you're rolled up. It's just covering everything. Them was dry as well. I need them moist, so I'll keep them moist. Put the lid on. That's another week away. Right, this is a self-setter pepper. It was in summertime, I'd potted on. Obviously, this should come out of my own compost. So I'm eventually going to put him on when I get the time. Yep, that tells me he needs putting on. So for now, I'll just give him a watering. This was last week, my first bloody opening up. Any questions as we're going through, just hold your hand up or just jump in. That was my first Gladdy. This was in the raised bed spare I put in. Missed a bit, window cleaner. Love them. I love crap like that, so I nick it and bung it in. Right, Rowley, our first inputter for tonight. All yours, Rowley. Rowley, are you with us?
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry.
Good man, good man.
Yeah. All right, that first picture is because I had the red spider mite last year and all sorts. I decided this year that I was going to give it a good old spray out with Jay's fluid and what have you, and set a smoke bomb off in there. And of course, being clever, I went and I thought the ground was wet enough, or the wood chip was wet enough on the floor, but it weren't. The smoke bomb set fire to the wood chip. And of course, stacked at one end was boards that I put all the pots and things on to get the pots level, planks of wood light to keep the pots level because of the automatic watering. And they was made out of decking boards that are covered in oil. So, of course, the next day, the fire worked underneath the wood chip like it does on a peat bog sort of thing. got underneath them and set fire to it. So there was a big panic because I got all these cucumber plants and nowhere to put the buggers. So I abandoned that one, and the two greenhouses that were next to it, which I'd started, basically roofed them, and that was as far as I got. So there was a big panic on get the other two greenhouses built or finished and start that. So that's going to be my winter job, redoing that greenhouse there. It's a 10x8 greenhouse in actual fact that I normally have a dozen cucumber plants in. But anyhow, that's the sort of what happened. So like I say, I have mishaps more than anybody else, I think.
Yeah.
But
Extra biochar.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, my biochar. Yeah, let's go on to the next one. Right, what I done in this first little greenhouse, I wanted to do where I'd got another greenhouse done on a rain gutter system for watering the pots. This one I decided I was going to do it in 45-gallon barrels. So I got these 4-inch soil pipes. In actual fact, I got them all given me. A company down here got kicked off of the warehouse site because Red Bull Racing decided they wanted more warehouse space and outbid the man. So the roofs of all their vans have got all these as pipe carriers. So it was free to collect. So I went down there and had half a dozen of them. So basically, it's 4-inch soil pipe that I put on there. There's two sides, obviously, to the greenhouse. The worst bit was trying to get all 4 of the pads equal with one another to do the water level. So if we move on to the next one, you can see then what I've done is cut the 3-inch holes in there to put sort of baskets in, or what are they called now? Like wicking things, wicking pots, net pots, that's it, net pots. So I drilled the holes in there. Basically, the blue barrels, as you can see on the left, they're joined together to make a couple. Next one, Mick, please. This, on the end of them pipes, I used an end plug and I fitted it, as you can see, where the water inlet is at the top. It looks like it's at the top. But by fitting it into one of them end caps, you can twist them to regulate the water level in the pipe. That's what I've done there. Next one then, where we are, you can see that's the things there all set together, just waiting to have the holes drilled in and then flipped over onto the pipes. So we move up again, please. And there you are. You can see I've drilled it, so hopefully, well, they did. The holes in the blue barrels match the holes in the pipe. Well, you can't see much on the far one. Yeah, next one, please, mate. Right, and there you can see they've got the hole. I've got the net pots, and what I've done is put a bit of weed membrane underneath so that all the compost don't soak through into there. And the further you go to the right there, you can see all I've done is rolled a bit of capillary matting up to put in there to draw the liquids up. Next one, Mick, please. Now you see that's all set there, just ready to have the compost added. And again, Mick, please. What I've done here, not really a coir lover, but I got some coir, that come from Wilco's, I think. And I put that in there to try and hold the moisture into the bottom of the barrels for the cucumbers. And where are we now? Yes, please, Mick, and again. And again. Now that, as you can see, I'll just use anything. So I've got a bucket there. The 2 pipes either side run to the front of them pipes. And by lifting and lowering that bucket, I can regulate the height of the water in the pipes. Yeah. I haven't run it in yet, but the other side of that glass is a IBC container. And because you can see the ball valve floating in there, I'll connect that up so it automatically feeds. Once I'd regulated the height of the barrel that I needed to get everything working right, so I could adjust up the float in the right position to hold the water, so that everything then becomes fully automatic. Where are we now? Next one, mate. Where's this thing moving? My one ain't moving, mate. Oh, that was the end of it. My one's not moving at my end here for some reason or other.
Oh.
But basically, that's what it is. And what one of the other reasons of putting an intermediate thing there, rather than running the IBC straight in there, is if you want to add liquid feeds, you can tip it into that bucket and it goes through into the raised beds.
Oh, perfect.
You know, and the raised beds obviously are all full of homemade compost. They've, and in actual fact, there's what's that, 369? There's 12 cucumbers grown in there. I think I've got 9 Carmen in there and 3 Passandras. But obviously, because of the time factor, the Passandras have brought a couple up so far, but the Carmen are at the top of the canes. So really speaking, I don't really want them for 9 days. That's when the first show is. But I've got another greenhouse beside it with another 10 in, and the Carmen are producing in there anyway. So, you know, so I'm well off with cucumber plants this year. Yeah. I got about 22 cucumber plants growing this year, and what have I got? About 38 tomato plants, all for one show, or for 2 shows really. So who knows? But not to worry, that's my little bit of input for tonight.
Lovely. Cheers, Rowley.
You're welcome.
Good to see you trawling, Aaron.
Well, I'll keep trying.
Good man.
Keep trying.
Cheers, Rowley. How cute is this? A newborn pothole. Obviously, I'll nick that one as well. Right, 2 weekends ago, 60s tribute band. This is Causeway Green, going to Alien Island, near Pompey. We've been on a few of these with me, mate. Mrs. Doreen. It's only for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But luckily we got there, and it was half sun, half cloud, but it was warm, and it was piddling down. So we sat outside. If it had been piddling down, we'd have gone in the shower. But that was just we need to set up. Good thing about these is all inclusive, obviously, because you pay the full whack, which is for the weekend is 400 quid each. But that's everything. That's your grub, your bed, your board, and all the entertainment, which is all the tribute bands. But the food is superb, because I love all my food, but I love my fish and all. And there's loads of fish they do. I always go around twice anyway, get my money's worth. So this is on the Friday night, obviously, the booking from I think it was 2 o'clock on the Friday. Dusty Springfield tribute, and then like where you sit, where they put you, that's where you have your grub as well. Because if we go back on that one, there's a restaurant that side, and there's a restaurant this side. So you stay on your own table. After them, it was basically rollers. It was good and all, and that was midnight. It was knackered by the time we had the last orders. Next morning, because it's only tribute, there's one on an afternoon, there's a group on then they start on an evening. So mornings you got to yourself. Luckily it was nice and sunny, so this was the beach. Too much copper was this pebble, and there's a bloody great drop. It was sand, the old hotels built along here. It's right in the background. Portsmouth. There's the, whatever they call it, there's a name for it. The tower. But we had a nose round there, but there ain't much there in Alien Island. Got their own railway. See the old chap coming in. It goes down about half a mile, it stops, and then comes back again. There's nothing at the other end. We went on it last time we was down here. And, in fact, there ain't many shops in Alien Island there. But we have a nose. It kills a couple of hours. While I was there, I bought me back a starfish and a bag of them. My patio. Saturday dinner, Beach Boys. We've seen these before. Love them. Brilliant. Change of costume, and they get into the what's it. No good if you don't like the 60s, but we do. That looks like next morning. Saturday evening we have the graduates. Where am I? Going down because Mick drove in his motor and he got Gold UK on his radio. And this is all 60s music. And we can't get it on our Benzum, and he can't even get it on our TV or radios. Gold UK, but still looking for that. Sunday morning, piddling down. So he legged it to Bognor Regis, just for someone to do. It's about half hour's ride away. And he got there, still piddling down, as you can see, windy as a fog. Pebble Beach again. Well, we just legged it in the cafe and had a strapper. On the way back, there was a market there. So we had a nose around there. So got loads of different stuff. Homegrown produce, whatever. And I always have a perv at all the little bits. Obviously, loads of these bird seed, but I saw these two up the corner. I thought, Gordon Bennett, Blair's chicken pellets, and oyster shell. I've had both of these large bags off online for me composting. I couldn't believe it when I saw these there, especially that one, the oyster shell. And that's quite cheap actually, 150. But I'm still loaded up, so I don't need to get some. But they got some good stuff in here. So we took a bit back home for a bit of dinner, then get back in sales motor. So this was Sunday dinner. The monkeys on monkey's tail. This was good in the sense, well, we'd never seen them before. This was a new one, and they were superb as well. Obviously, they all dress up in the clobber. He's got his bob hat on. Love it. Don't forget we're more old uns, but we can still shake a wicked off. When was this? This was Sunday night as well. They did a Mr. and Mrs. Volunteer for couples. And we usually volunteer for something like this. But we says we'll keep out of this and we'll just answer the questions while they come up. And we'd have done crap if we had gone out. But that was brilliant. It passes about 40 minutes. But compare, he's hilarious. And he had us like in hysterics. And that was the end of the evening. This is just before they finished about 11:30. And last order is 11. After that, obviously, I can still drink, but you're paying for it. So we just stock up before they shut last orders. But it's a Boston weekend. Right, our second inputter, John Murphy from Taunton. He's a good lad and he's managed to get Wi-Fi. And it's his first Zoom. He's said that a few Zooms, but now he's going to help us out himself. John, mate, all yours.
Thanks, Mick. Well, it's nice to finally be on the Zoom because it's taken a couple of years, Mick, hasn't it?
Yeah, go a bit closer to your mic, John, please, mate.
It's took a couple of years to get on the Zoom because in the old flat I never had the Wi-Fi, so I was only working off phone signal. So
Oh,
it was pretty impossible to get on the Zoom before. But this here is a picture of me, my new garden in the house I've just moved into. I've got a 100-foot garden there, so it's like having 2 allotments in my back garden. That's the first picture, Mick.
that is the biggest back garden I've ever seen.
I've been plastering now for 35 years, and I've not seen many back gardens that big. I mean, you don't even get a quarter of that in a new house now.
No.
So I mean, it's a council property, but it's a lovely garden, and I hope to make it into a better one.
Superb.
Right at the back there, I had about 3 meters of blackberries that all stood up about 5 or 6 foot tall, and I had to chop them all down. And now I've got down to the roots, and now individually I'm digging up all the root balls, and then I'm going to get all that ground sorted. So that's the very back of the garden, that picture there. And that's this left down the side. So that was all blackberries. That's where my greenhouses are going to go. There's one of them, and I've got another one that I've got to pick up. And those 2 will be going at the back of the garden where I'm just clearing that. Just clearing that, and then the middle part of the garden, I intend to do something different. Whether I put a polytunnel in there, or whether I do some turn that into. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet.
Yeah, I've got time, John.
This is me plants that I've been collecting up from down the allotment, where I've just brought back a selection of everything, so that I've got the genetics to create my next plan. So you see me banana pot there. The banana, you got it on the marker there, Mick. That one there is in an aqua pot. There's a tray in the top which the plant sits into, and that's just got clay pebbles in, and then the bucket underneath is just a tank. And I've got a solar air pump that blows air down the pipe, and then it sort of trickles up and waters itself. So they're pretty easy to look after because they look after themselves. That banana is nearly a year old now, and then I've got all my little polystyrene pots there that I do the. I've got solar pumps underneath that sprinkle water up underneath the roots. So again, that's a water assisted grow. A little invention of mine, because my partner works for people, and they get a lot of these polystyrene boxes with their meat deliveries. So she brings the boxes home to me, and then I do something with them. Yeah, that's just a photo looking at the garden. My little Coco, my little Chihuahua cross lion. That's some of me fruit trees. I've got a lemon just to the left there in the brown pot, and then in the middle is a lime, and in the next to the lime is another lime. A couple of me fruit trees. That's just the outside shot, just to look at what we've just been looking at. There's a great plant and a dustbin that I brought back from the allotment. Now I brought that down from my balcony off the flat, so that'll be going right alongside the fence. Hopefully, I've got one white grape on one side and a black grape on the other side. But I don't think I've got a picture of that. I inherited a Victoria plum tree, which hopefully I can now turn that into a family tree and graft onto that cherries and peaches and apricots, anything with a stone in that go with a plum. I'm going to try and graft onto it so that I end up with multiple fruits on one tree. That's the plan for that Victoria plum. So that was a nice gift in the garden.
Good man.
There's my plums ready for me plum jam.
Cool music, can you?
Can't beat jam. People have been enjoying my jam. that's me peach tree that I had in my greenhouse down my allotment, and she was suffering, and she went yellow, and I give her all types of feed. But since I repotted her, and she's coming back now, so hopefully that one will do well on that wall, because the wall keeps it warm, stops it from getting blown about too much. Seems really happy there, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that does next year. There's lovely peaches on that tree. There's some real juicy ones. That there is I can't remember the name of it, but my nephew does all the canners like you enjoy making. I call him Jungle Jack, and he give me these little potatoes, so roots, like ginger roots they look like. And in Asia they call them silky potatoes, but they grow really well. So I've just been experimenting with them this year. With you doing your canner, I thought I'd go for a big leaf, see if I could bring something to the table.
Yeah.
So that's my. And there's your gladioli. Always got a few gladioli on the go. That was a nice bloom.
Nice.
And these are the chilies down my allotment in my greenhouse. These are they're just sat in pots on trays. I've got one system that's sort of sat in tanks, just hovering over the tank, like a wicker system. And these chilies are just in trays, but they do so well because they're in the greenhouse and they love the heat. No, I've got them seeds off of you as well, mate. They're long joes.
Yeah.
Long joes they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely eater, not too strong. There's the banana plant with the clay pebbles in the top there, you see, and it's just got a water ring around the top. And it just trickles away as soon as the sun comes out. The air pump blows down the pipe, and then it siphons water up and then just trickles down. But it also oxygenates the water underneath by being the air pump, so they get two benefits.
Love it.
That's the same one as that silky potato that I took. They're just extra ones that I've not potted up yet. This is one of my roses. Can't remember the name of this one, but I thought I had a picture of it might be the Queen Elizabeth II that I got early part of this year. I try and get one rose every year. But I like roses. My granddad used to grow roses.
They always grew roses, didn't they, the granddads?
Yeah.
I can remember my granddad had loads of them. Used to wear one of his buttonhole when he went down the boozer the weekend.
This one's my original greenhouse that I put the frame up on a pallet so it was another meter higher, and now I've grown giant Bradford blackberries, Bradford giant, sorry. So I've got 3 plants in there, one on the left, one on the right, and one at the back. And I want to train the whole arch into being a blackberry bush. So that's on the left, and on the right is my Trump Tower where I've got me grape plant in the bus shelter. There's the grapes in there. I'll give it a good prune again last week, and I'll give it a couple of good prunes this year. But we get a lot of growth out of that this year with all this rain we've had. It's just been growing like mad. But
good grapes on there, John.
That's wine grapes. They are. That's the one I give you, Mick.
Yeah.
He's a good producer. Should get a few bottles out of that one. These are one of my apples. Again, this apple tree was a combo of a green apple and a red apple on the same plant, but the green part didn't do too well, so it's down to just a red apple now. And I've tried to make an apple wall. I've got 4 different apples in a row now, So eventually I'll cut that back so it's a nice tight wall. But those apples, because of what you told me, Mick, about taking off half the apples, since I've been doing that,
Yeah.
all my apples have got so much better, so much bigger and juicier.
Yeah.
This picture here is me Bradford giants, but they're smaller than the original blackberry. So whether I've got to wait another year for it to puck up and get bigger.
Mm.
So
Could well be.
yeah, my old blackberries are bigger than me giants, but there's still plenty of blackberries.
Just going back onto you saying your fruit, your apple trees. Our mate upstairs does it in June, doesn't he? Just June drop for the fruit. That's him sorting out the fruit for us. But I used to go around as soon as that starts, the June drop. I used to go around all the fruit trees and have a look, because there's some varieties of apple, nothing used to come off, and that's when I started thinning, and that's when I first noticed you get better and juicier fruit, and that's when I started with everything I grew then, just thin everything out, and you get larger fruit as well, tastier. Look at them.
One of me trays of me pickings. That's just that I think most of those are Bradford giants.
You've got a bit quiet again, John.
Yeah, I think that's a tray of Bradford giants.
Yeah, them are all right. Blackberry and apple crumble.
Oh.
Custard. Four beated.
We just gotta wait for the apples, don't we?
Yep.
There's a couple of me cucumbers I've done. I only bought a couple of cucumber plants this year. An old man I get a couple of tomatoes off. He did cucumbers as well this year, so I've got a couple of them. And they've been super long cucumbers, like 2 foot long. So they've been like truncheons. I've done well on the cucumbers this year. I'm only having two plants. I've had over 20 cucumbers, but I've got them in big fabric pots, and they drink quite heavy. They're thirsty plant cucumbers.
Yeah.
There's a few of my tomatoes. Most of those are outdoor girl, but there are a few Shirley, Gardener's Delight, Moneymaker, and what's the gold one's called? The orange gold.
Sun gold.
Sun gold. That's the ones. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of tomatoes this year. I've done 7 different types, and I was a bit luckier than I needed to be, really. But I've got a lot of tomatoes on the go this year. I think it's because of the worry at the beginning of the year when they said the price of tomatoes, or we're not going to have no tomatoes. So
yeah,
I sort of like took precautions, and now I've got too many. So
in there, John, are you getting trouble with thick skins on the tomatoes this year?
I wouldn't say so. No, me outdoor girls, the flesh on them is so soft. It's almost they're almost soft. But that's the kind of tomato it is. It's quite a soft tomato. But me other ones are taking a little bit longer to ripen up. So I'd expect me Shirleys and me Moneymakers, if they're going to have hard skin, they'll be the ones to have it.
Yeah, Shirley's, my Shirleys that I've picked already, they're a little bit hard skinned, so the other one. But then I manually water that greenhouse, whereas I do believe the Akron tomatoes that are on drip feed all the while, they're softer skin. You know, the skins ain't so thick when you go to eat them, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I just got it in my mind. I was going to sort of query it with everybody else to see if manual watering gives you thicker skins than if they're on drip water or like you say, wicking water or anything like that.
Yeah. See, on the right of this picture in front of you, I've got the tomatoes. I've got a water tank underneath, and then I've got Celotex on top. And out of the Celotex, I cut the holes for the pots, slip the pots in, so that, but the pots don't go right down to the bottom of the tank. They sort of hover in the middle, so there's an air gap between them. So they've actually got to go down to the drink. But they seem to like that. And the ones on the left, I've got chilies in one row, and behind that I've got another row of tomatoes, and they're just in trays. And I'm hand watering them rolling, so
Yeah,
they're doing great.
it
But,
was just, like I say, it was just the thickness of the skins seem. I don't know. I can remember 3 or 4 years ago. Well, say 4 or 5 years ago, before my brother died, we was discussing it then, and we even went round Tesco's at Bedford sampling their tomatoes to see what had got the thinnest skins on them, like, you know. But we reckon year on year they seem to be getting thicker.
I got me new teeth last week, so I'm still working them out. I don't know whether I'm biting too hard or too soft. Yeah, so that's the top part of my greenhouse. I've got 2 greenhouses together there. I've got one that's dug out. The greenhouse in front of that, I dug that out a meter, so I had another meter of ceiling height. And that's where I had me peach tree. And in there I've got a row of tomatoes. I've got me pomegranate tree. I've got me overwintered chilies from last year. I overwintered a Scotch bonnet, and I overwintered Tabasco, and I've got them sat on buckets with a solar fountain underneath them, just sprinkling away at their bums in a fabric pots, and they seem to be having a great time in there. Really, they could do with a whole greenhouse to themselves. But a bit late now. I have to build another greenhouse. Yeah, that's my sun golds. It's a lovely plant, that is. Lovely tomato, that is.
Damn nice. So
There's me barbecue for the troops, for the workers. 3 for me and 1 for Aaron Doles.
like it.
A couple of my tomatoes. I think they're either money maker or Shirley's.
John, brilliant.
Okay, thanks, Mick.
Yeah, brilliant.
Excellent first input.
Good man.
That's what we like. Going through your stuff, there's always something to learn. You pick up one little thing and think, oh, I thought of that. But another trial and error. Excellent. Cheers, John.
Thanks, Mick.
Right, peas, these exhibition peas, greenhouse, tunnel, top of the garden. If you remember, I got my fruit trees down there. Last year in the front here, I had my Gladys, and I need extra peas, obviously for exhibition. So I've got 2 lots outside, and the last lot went indoors. Obviously, they're going to come quicker than the ones outdoors. So the last lot I put in here. And I put my canes on an angle so the peas hang down. They don't touch nothing. Don't get no markings on them. So every 2 days I've got to tie these up. Same with the ones outside. That's a bit blurred, but you'll just make the payout. And this chap, the giant Cape Gooseberry, he's going bloody loop. I thought I'd supported them all, as you'll see the string up there holding them up, this cane's up holding them up, and this one snapped off itself with the weight of the fruit. But I have thinned this out about 4 days ago because I want air movement around all the plants. In fact, everything I thin out, and thinning out as well, you will get better fruit. How's your Cape Gooseberry doing, John? That joint?
Well, Mine's not looking as good as yours. I've got a row of them in the outside greenhouse, which is just a frame,
Yeah.
and they're slowly coming on. I've got 4 in the greenhouse that you just showed before with the chilies in.
Yeah.
And I've got no colour in them, and I've been feeding them fish molasses, but I think I need to give them maybe some chalk or some magnesium or some. I'm not sure what to feed them. What are you feeding that one? You must be
Alternate feeds. They've had a liquid fish probably 3 weeks ago. Then Miracle Grow next week. It's like me. If I have steak every day, I mean I love steak, but if I have steak every day, I'm going to get bored. So if I have steak 2 days and then I have fish the next day, plants are the same because the summer's in different feeds. Every different feed has got summer, so I alternate my feeds every week. But also, and it's usually a Friday night if I can do it. As soon as the sun goes off everything, exactly what I've fed them, what they've had that week, I then foliar feed the same feed on the plants, and then that does them well as well. But he's got a good brew under his arse, and with the hamster mug and the rabbit mug, but he's in a perfect position there, end of the tunnel. When the sun comes up, he's got it all day until he goes down. So it's an ideal position for him. But I knew he'd take over. But he's doing well. This one end of the tunnel, you'll see you've been bloody threaded. And there's a little chaps you can see hanging off. I've had that much bloody leaf. I caught all the roll weight up of. I mean, some people say, "Oh, I should be spraying." You've got to spray. You've got no bloody choice. And also, I'm spraying with my dithane, roses, peaches, peas, pear, apples, cannas. There's my citrus feed. That's another good feed. We'll come to that in a minute. So obviously the sun's gone off everything, and that's when I'm foliar feeding. That's my peach outside, and my lemon. Then we're doing both well. And then these are the peas at the back of the shed. So I've got sweet peas there, and the exhibition peas here. So roses, everything gets a spray. There's my Lucifer canna, bossy little flower. Although it's only a small flower, but it's a red one with a yellow throat, as you can see. But he's a corker. He's similar to the Happy Firework, but then was from seed as well. These are my last 5 cannas, young ones. You can see them have been potted up. So them was the last 2 that I started off. So this is the final pot size, or these pots I had from Wilco moons ago, and then never bought them back in, so I had to go from them big plastic pots. The only thing about being plastic, there's no weight in them, so you've got to watch the wind. If you've got a top heavy, them pots are perfect because they got weight in them. Right, this is tunnel top of the garden. That's my first gladdy this opened up. Now these have come from self-setters from last year. And that is my old favourite, what I call velvet. Is it something Christmas? I don't know. I can't remember the proper name of it because they look like velvet, and they're no good for exhibition. But I love them. So
not the one called red velvet, is it, Mick?
Could well be. Could well be. But I love them. So I'm glad I've got little chaps of him. So in fact, there's loads in there, so I'm hoping they're all from the same ones. Fruit, still picking. First year with these in the tunnel, but I do for me. Get me breakfast in the morning. Sweet peas is another little trellis. If I remember, I've got 3 raised beds here. for my gladdies, and right at the end, I made a little framework for my sweet peas. And this one, because all the sweet peas are scented, and I planted them, trialing them, hoping to get them for our show. But this one, I forget the name of it, but the scent is superb, and that also looks like a velvet. You can't see it very well on the photo, but it's a superb little chap, and it's like a shiny, same as a gladdy, like the velvet, but superb. The marker pen I've been using this year, the sun and the rain, not the markers off, so there's loads of stuff. I ain't got a bloody clue what the name is. Right, this is a card from my nephew. Birthday, obviously. You're such a fan, old guy. I've learned so much from you. Mainly rude words, beginning with F and D. Thank you very much. Right, there's 3 lamb chops under that lot. Right, the lamb chops was done in the air fryer. So everything now, whether it's bacon, whatever, all the fat you get off it. In fact, went and got me another porridge house yesterday. I finished out because I'm using loads in here as well. I'm just soaking up the fat. Once I sprinkle that around, I then turn it around with fingers, which does soak up, as you can see there, all the fat. So it's not going down the sink, you're not wasting it. And I'm bunging it in with a bird seed. They're going to love it, which they do. And this is a photo, because every time I went out to take a photo, that all clear off. So I took this from the bedroom window, zoomed in. Obviously, that's why it's out of focus. But there's about 10 on there at one time. They love the fat. So don't get wasting it. Just buy some chipped porridge oats. That's if you feed the birds, of course. Right, back down the plot. Spentops this side and the rabbit muck that side. When he can get it, he uses sterilised chop straw, which is good for the gardener, good for me as a compost or whatever, or using that as a top dressing, raised beds, pots, whatever. So obviously the new stuff's on the top, as you can see, but you've only got to go down less than there's a hand fork, so down 4 inches, and he started breaking down already. That's what I'm after. Just fill a couple of bags of them up, bring them back home. We'll only get some couple of mates asked me for some top dressing for their raised beds. I said I sort them out as well. Right, this chap that's growing in the raised bed top of the garden, I thought, was we've got a British Gladiola site and they do an online show. In fact, he emailed me this afternoon. He said he ain't putting anything on for tomorrow. I says, I've got nothing out. I think the next one is 2 weeks' time. Or was it 3 weeks? In September. I said, if I've got anything, I'll bung something on. But this one, I was going to stake him and sort him out with a cane. There's one of my vases ready. So I did chop him off. And I did try it. Rainwater. Slice him at an angle. Then I'm going to put a cane behind him. Impress the judges. Get him nice and straight. So I'm tying him to the cane. Bit of paper around him, pack him in. So I've tied him all the way up. Hoping to get him nice and straight. And then, because the online shows are on a Friday evening. So if you got a Gladdy that's open Tuesday, ready Tuesday afternoon, just take the photo and then put it on Friday night. That's a good thing about the shows. But I wanted to get 2, 4, 6, 8 blooms, decent blooms. But they work out, couldn't do it. I had to get back onto him. So that was during the week, filling up, running out of space, which I normally do anyway. When I'm doing something and I'm into it. Pelagia. These chaps, all I've done is when they go to seed, obviously, like everything else, I just deadhead, like him, pinch him out. But the flowers get very few far between. So what I'm going to do, there's a plant there, is just chop him off altogether. There's quite a few other plants I chop off, delphinium and what. Then feed them, and they've come back already. Within 3 weeks, he's just showing flower again. So if he does it with them, then there's a good chance he's going to do it with these as well, because there's new growth coming out the bottom. So that's what I've done. Just going down that border and all of them, I'm chopping them off all soil level. There's the next one, because it looks naff. There's only about 3 or 4 flowers on him, stake in the back just to hold him up. Chop the lot off. You can see the new growth. Gave him a good feed. He was a nice yellow one. Chopped him and all. Shells I bought back from Ailing Island. Still ain't had time to open them up. My jams I made, my red currant. You can't get a late red currant at the moment. And there's my gooseberry. That's mixed red and green goosegog. So I can still exhibit them, but not in fruit wise. I can exhibit them jam wise. I thought let's try them first. And now Ben was on and he loves it. But Austin, this was last week. Jamaica took out Brazil. There's been some shocks, which is always good to watch. I think I'd rather watch the women's football than the men. There ain't so much crap diving and shit. But Jamaica to take out Brazil, that must have been good, which we learned, did we not? The Delphinium Blues, somebody asked me about them. These are getting these ready. And me spare, cost me out. I've got spares, so I'm taking them down for our garden pot. And 2 little jams. The raffle. Right, shredder in the garage. I've got some seaweed to shred. This is when we was down Breen for the day. I got some seaweed from there. This was the cleanest seaweed I've had anywhere. The next lot was from Portsmouth. And the crap that's in that lot, where this lot is nice and clean in the road. Seaweed. Different seaweeds. That's why I like getting them from different places. But that's been through the shredder now, so I'll put it through again. That's a bit better. This is dried goat milk. I put that through the shredder as well, twice. Look at that, beautiful. Now I can use it in fistful instead of big dollops. So that is my last lot of seaweed from Portsmouth. Drying that out. Just chopped that one from Breen. So there's my bag of seaweed, which is a different brew from this lot. So that is getting mixed with him. So now I'm mixing all the seaweeds together. And there's my bag of goat milk from the last lot I shredded, probably about 6 months ago. So that is going in with there as well. And that bag is getting mixed up. All I do is lift that up 7 or 8 times, mixing it. Beautiful stuff. Right, this seaweed from Pompey, that was the reunion. That's now getting chopped up in the bucket. Russian likes the feathers in them, and it starts nicking them. But I chop that up before I put it in the shredder. He goes in. Nah, it's got to go in again, so I put it in again. So he's gone through twice. So there's me bag in the greenhouse. Obviously, you see me before. That lot now gets put in. No, that lot gets put in there because this is a larger bag, and that is mixed up again. So different seaweeds are getting mixed up. That's what I like to do with all my manures as well. There's some in one manure that other manures ain't got. Same as seaweeds. There's different types of seaweed, whatever. So all them got mixed, and that goes back in there. So I filled him up. I fill my goat milk up. Right, there's always some of the dough work. So I'm glad he don't look very well there. In fact, he ain't very well. So I've got spares. I think there's my last 2 I got, which luckily I potted them all on in little pots just in case. But there's 2 there's gonna tee up. We're just getting the handful in, and he just that stem come away from the core itself. So I use my old compost because there's worms in there. 2 shoots on him. All I want is the strongest plant nearest the middle. So I hold that cord firm and snap that one off, the other one, which I've done there. firm him in upright, put the straw back, give him a nice watering. Babbies, which was in the compost, I put in me bin, if they call them that, bung them in. Right, watering, which I mentioned earlier on, get fed once a week. Everything. Don't forget, if you've got raised beds or anything in pots, they're going to dry out quicker. And these need watering regular. Even if you get a good downpour, it's only a good downpour. And if you have a good downpour, then you have a day of dry, that's going to dry out. Especially these little pots. The big ones are a bit better, but these small ones, you've got to keep these. Don't forget, especially canners, they love water and they love feed as well. They're every feeders. You've got to feed them every feeding. And you've got to be careful. You've got to pot these on before you get too many stems on, which I've learned. Sweet peas, top of the shed. These are still getting about 4.5 hours of sun in the evening, if the sun is out. But it's ideal for them. I've had quite a few of them, which please the missus, because these are all scented, don't forget. And up the side of the shed fence, I've got them which come back every year. These are the sweet peas I've put in this year, the scented. You can just make out my wire with my netting on, just to hold these up. But I'm quite chuffed with them sweet peas. We've had a few not storms, but high winds, which have splattered a few. Well, same as everything, it splats daily as the bloody lot. But love them, like the sweet peas. Well, when I take Russian for a walk, I used to. Now, when I took her back to our local park, because last year, council grounds, they put canners in here last year, and I wanted to see if they left them into overwinter. They bloody took them all up, dug them up. In fact, they dug the bloody lot up, threw it all. But that was just to have a perv to see if they kept the canners, just to see if they did overwinter. Because, go back on that one, there's no protection here, like mine are up against a fence. So that's a bit of protection from the winter. Although last winter we've had some -7s and 8s, and we don't want another winter like that again. Still a bit of cover in the middle, but because of cutbacks and everything, they don't weed anything anymore. But everybody's got cutbacks, ain't they? The only good thing about, well, one good thing about this place, I'll get me comfrey, which is there, and my nettles, and my composting. So that's what I do. I just bung a couple of large leaves in a poo bag, and then just pinch out any new growth from the nettles before they go to seed. Get back home and chop them up with scissors while I'm having a cuppa. Mix all my crap up again. This is 3 days after the lat lot. Quick watering, cover them again. Right, I'm just going up the garden to open the greenhouse. And Summit has been digging in my pots. The only thing it could be bloody squirrel, because we have SAS squirrels. And then I checked everything else, and he's in the bed. Obviously, what he wants to bury is bloody nuts. I'll bury his nuts if I catch him. In fact, I've got to Google squirrel he does, because he's disturbing everything. He's the other bed's going down the other side. And even my pot's going up, and the canners in. And that one, he got down to the roots, as you can see there. Right, this was the afternoon of our talk. Colleague Gardening Club. I take all my stuff down because I was doing the talk anyway. So I'm going to take my projector and everything down to set up. I set up during the day. Russian is alright. The call running anywhere. There's nowhere to go. But while I took down there, these 2 canners are donated to them. They had some plants as well from B&Q. Paul bought some from B&Q for them, just to help them out. Makes it look a bit better. It's covered again in weeds, they ain't gonna be sod all. But I donated these 2 canners because they got a virus. I weren't going to keep myself. I did Paul some as well, chili Paul. I says, keep away from me now because of virus. I should have given him, I should have put him in this bloody border. Because it makes no odds if they got a virus, they don't bloody know anyway. They're still going to get a canner and a flower. But you'll see the virus on the outside of that leaf. And that's what I do on. But we just have a pair of them too. Still waiting to go in flower. For my birthday, Ben bought us one of them new projectors, small as a fart, and they're brilliant, perfect. Good job I did set up on the afternoon because the plug on this, because I'm made in bloody China, the plug itself is about 4 inches long, meaning it's overlapping another socket. I had to bring another extension lead down with me on the knife. I did 2 talks, growing bed for show. We had a break off time for the grub and raffle, and then I did preparing bed for the veg for show. First time I'd ever done 2 talks. Started at 8, finished about 11:15. Everybody stayed, full house. Because I do it as one of my talks. The stuff I flog on my talks, I bring up here as well. So that's everything set up there. Because usually I walk down so I can have a few beers. But because I won't drive, I took some stuff down anyway. I still like to set up in the afternoon just to get it out of the road. So the pots where that SAS squirrel was digging out, I've now covered all these, all them 3 there. The little chaps I'm going to leave because I'm going to pop them on eventually. But I've had to do everything to stop him bloody digging everything up. I suppose you still find something else. But that pepper's got him potted on, and my last 2 canners here. These two I'm keeping an eye on because just in case they've got a virus. I'm not too sure about them because one of them come from Holland, and most of the stuff nurseries getting from Holland, they got virus seed, virus plants. That's why I got to keep an eye on them. And I send my mate Sylvain in Canada a photo every week of these 2, and he tells me if they got a virus or not, and that's when I get rid of them. So if I do have to get rid of these 2, they'll go Craigslist Football Club in their border. These lot as well, my large ones in front of the raised bed. The squirrel never got in here. Well, I thought, well, now I've covered the others because they are open. He's going to get in there. So I've got 3 bit of wire left. So all I'm going to do is cover these lot as well. And you see the new shoots coming out from these. You've got to keep an eye on these. These pots are just about big enough. Because the small pots, we'll come on to that later on. They get bloody root pound. You've got to keep an eye on it. They're excellent growers. So that's another 3 large pots done. Right, grapevine. This is the end of the tunnel, top of the garden. You see the grapevine going up there, obviously outside going under the tunnel coming up. And there's the other one. There's yours one, John, there. But you see new growth on him there. So I've got to go around inside and piece that out. And then obviously check all the stem because the new growth coming off the stem, I don't want it. Just pinch it out. And there's what I pinched out. Right, delphinium, this was only done 2 weeks ago. So when I chopped it all off, fed in, and there's a new growth this throwing. And these are the other delphiniums just going down the garden, and these lot have got new growth on as well. So it won't be long before we have flowers on them. And this thing went bloody haywire. I had to prune in. Right, new week, so a new feed. So I'm turning to Maxi Glop. Maxi Glop, love it. Anything that's seaweed based, love the stuff. Rainwater. I ain't run out for a while. Shows you how much rain we've had. That's a bit blurred, obviously, because I took it through the window. but it just show you how each trim next door just shows you how quickly everything grows back again. But I've chopped loads of the stuff. In fact, I've legged it around there because he gave me the code to his garden. And now Ben's been around to borrow the blackberries out of his crap. But looking good, coming on. Fruit trees are doing good at the back. First year for them. I'll be ready for next year. Right, this is on the night for our talk, Colligate Gardening Club. Amy, there's only me and Amy on the committee to sort everything out, which we did it, piece of piddle. Amy worked wonders. I doing the grub, because we have cows at half time, so I've done them, cheese and onion and ham and mustard. So I was just legging it around with a raffle, and I went round with a footy tout, because I'd done all my stuff earlier on. I prepared the talk. And Amy had bust a foot or her ankle, and it's still got a foot in plaster. So, but it's a good stick. But this is about 40 minutes before the talk started, and they're filling up already. So you got this area and that back bit there, and the screens this end. And that's looking from the grub side into the screen. But it's a good turnout. I think there was a 45 there in the end, which is real. That's me doing my first talk. Some of the speakers stand right in front of the screen because I'm looking at the bloody laptop, and it's going to block the view of somebody. So everybody that comes in now and they're setting up says, right, can you position yourself there? You're not blocking anybody, and these lot at the back can also hear you. But let's do my first talk. Then we have a break for the grub, and let's make Mick again diving into the grub. But it was a good evening. Also, I mentioned there because Select Seeds, Dave Thornton, he's give us a few talks. He's up Chesterfield way somewhere, but he's took over Select Seeds the last 3 years, I think. Or if you want any decent seed, because there's some crap about it, and he doesn't dish out any crap, whether it's for exhibition or just for normal eating. He got some good stuff. He's on Facebook. He's always on the internet as well. You can just get on the internet, put Select Seeds. When it comes up, you can click on the catalogue and you can go through the catalogue online. You haven't got to send away for one. Obviously, you ain't got the internet, but you can send away for them. Well, taking Russian for a walk just over the weekend with the winds. These more branches that have come off, and I'm just collecting them. It's a good thing for me because I'm still collecting my leaves. And that's me now, my new leaf mold. I ain't collecting leaves like about now. I've just started, well, because our weather's all to bloody cock anyway. There's loads of gladdies that should have been exhibiting last week, and even Nigel Coe. He was judging because he got nothing to show. He's throwing everything out, but everybody's in the same boat. And I went past where I used to get my leaves from, collecting them in the autumn, and there's quite a few now on the leaves on the floor, which is a bit early. Because that's when I used to collect them. But now I've got that many of these. I was taking Russian, I'll bring one of them back a day. And it's already broken down for me. Nature's broken it down. Easier for me. When I go back home, cup of coffee, go through all the crap, what we made on the night. So football tote that goes round, 20 quid for the winner, 20 quid for us. And the raffle money, 42 quid. That's made 30 quid for the room, so I took that out of there. So it's a good night, really. The grub money has got to come out. That should cover, them lot should cover the grub money. Obviously, I'm going to charge for my talk. So the money we've made, or saved, I should say, because I've talked another committee member into doing a talk. He's a lecturer. He's never given us a talk. I said, you've got Lomington. allotment. You're a good veg grower about giving us a talk. So I've talked him into doing one as well. And he ain't going to charge. So the money we save from them two, instead of having a singer or a whatever for our presentation, I've got a comedian this year, magician come whatever. Just pay the extra, enjoy yourself. I'm trying to get into them. Right, blueberries. This is one I bought from the pot because I knew he gave me fruit ready for our show. Bloody bird started nicking them. So I'm in netting I got. So first of all, for the plastic. In fact, I went down Wilco again to get some more of these. I got that in. That was last week. I think B&Q flog them exactly the same. But it's just holding all this fruit up. And that's my netting, which I used or got for me sweet peas at the back. So luckily that's perfect. Of course, the netting very well, but that's covering everything now. That should keep the birds off. And he's just started open with Durban. Beautiful. Nice yellow with red throats on them. But any dead foliage, they just pull them off. Like so. Same as dead anything. And there's more of me, as you see, because I'm all bunched together. Them are the little corms or cormlets from the corms that was in last year. So I'm going to take them off just in case there's different ones in there. I'm just putting velvet on. It's not the proper name, but I know which ones it is. So I know them too, and velvet. Just in case these are different. Just to help me out. And he don't know do no good. He got a bit of thrip damage anyway. So he went in the house for the missus. So them two out the tunnel with him. Sprung me in the vase. Go back on that one. When I first started up in the gardening club, bloody hell, moons ago, we used to have cut glass presentation night. Instead of you still get your money prizes, but we had a contact firm, Crystal Glass down Briley Hill, and there were seconds. They used to get a second, but you could not tell that was a second. You've got to be know what you're looking for, and that's proper heavy cut glass. I've still got quite a few of them. Then we lost the contact and the price on them. But you'll see that bed better now, that velvet, beautiful, love it. So that was for the gaffer. Right, these two are going in these big pots. Next pot size up, 5 litre. The first one, go back on him. This is the first one I'm cutting the base out. That's for him. That will be going into that one, and then that will be going into a homemade grow bag. So I want to cut the bottom out of that one, which is a 5 litre. The best thing I found is these Cub Stanley knives. They're sharp enough to go right round and get all him off. But he ain't ready to go in that. Nice little bag, he'll do. I'll make my own grow bag out of him in the sense I'll get my own compost, 3/4 filling, turn the top over, put some holes in the bottom. There's my grow bag. Right, my leaves I've got from taking the hound in the morning, or any twigs in or something, I'll just throw them on my peach and put them in one of these bags. I've now got 2 of these bags full in the shed, and I've just filled this bag up this morning. And I've given my mate 2 bags as well. That's how much I'm collecting. It is beautiful stuff. So that's so much else I've learned this year. Collect it now, me leave. Nature has broken it down for me. Right, I need some compost out. So because I put in stuff in 2 days ago, I'm going to scrape away this lot. So I put my hand fork in and I've just gone down. Well, I've scraped the crap away probably up 2 inches. Just fill my bowl up. That'll do. Fill that back up again. Just having a quick perv of my handful. There's my worms, my babbies, and my springtails. Loads of springtails. Perfect. Nature. And worm eggs. That's what I want to see as well. Because you know these are happy. They've got the warmth, they've got the feed, the moisture, and they will just multiply rapidly. Just keep that moist and warm, which you are. Carpet lid, way through. Big one which the wind toppled over outside the patio. I forgot to cover him, so I found a bit more netting just in case the bloody squirrel. That's another heyday. Got some more pots from Asda. As if flogging flower pots, and they got no holes in them, so I was going to put my holes in. Right, my compost, because they're going in pots, I don't want the worms in. If those going as a top dressing or in raised beds, I keep the worms in. So I put it a good dollop out, get me bag. The sun come out, so somebody asked me for a photo of me raised bed in my canners, so I took that quick. All the sun was out. Eggs, worm eggs. So I'm picking out all the worms and bunging them in there. Anything that isn't broken down yet, I put in that one. Once I've been through this lot, that end gets thrown in there, and I'm going through the bowl all the way through. So that lot goes in there. That goes on one of me. Also, you've got to be looking at this lot. You think you've got all the worms up, well, I got another 8 from there, babbies. Just pick them up. Just push your finger over underneath them and just lick my finger. And then just flick them in this lot. There's a close-up. But you're missing with a naked eye. Just look for the chaps. And the bowl itself, I'll clear that as well. So that lot gets put on the border with the wood chip and everything else. This lot goes back in the compost. Love it when I upend it like that. Because all the babbies are going into the warmth and there's moisture underneath. Just open it up and spread half of them either side. Make sure all the babbies are out. Perfect. Stallion juice I'm on now, off Rolly, because I've lost my contact with liquid osmug. That's the next good brew. Always use rainwater if I can. Everything gets it. There's also this canner for my mate Dave for Chesterfield. Well, that was for him. Lucifer, this one is. Got to pot him on. Don't leave it too late, which I did do here. I had a struggle getting him out. Normally, most things you can upend them, tap them, and they'll come out. This, I come very close. I nearly thought I had to slice it to get it out. But he's going to go into that one. That's how quick they grow. And because he's bloody tall anyway, I could just get him on this bench and he just got away with it. So tapping him to get him out. I couldn't tap him on there. That bottom would have hit the floor, not just snap the top off. Got to do it. But taking that plant up, dollop of worms dropped out, so I picked them up and all. Right, peas in the tunnel. Checking them daily now as I'm growing up, and the side shoots coming out underneath. You're supposed to take all them out, but just in case these peas are too early for my show, I'm keeping some of the side shoots on, meaning they can take over from these peas if they're too early, if that makes sense. But I've got away with it. I'm getting away with it because I'm still getting all the stuff at the back. Raspberries, these sorted out thinning. There's no air movement around the bottom. There is now. It keeps any disease away, any aphids as well. Well, helps too. Doesn't keep them away, but it's drug prevention. But peas are coming on, all the canes. So, exactly the same as runner beans. The little feelers and same as sweet peas, they hang on. Because you're tying them up, you don't need them, so just cut them off. then all the nourishment and grub go into the plant itself, not his arms. So I'm sorting them out as well. And the last lot will get thinned out. Golden raspberries, which I've just done there. So that's chopping ready for composting. So I've got air movement around here so they breathe. This is all gold. This is the first year with these for me. But as soon as I found out ours from mid-August to early October, our shows early September, perfect. That's what made me have them. So all these have now been jobbed. The strawberries, which I lost last year, because we had bloody -7s, my own fault. I should have took them off and put them in the greenhouse. Well, you don't expect -7s. They should all be a pink flower. All except one is a white flower. So what the hell's happened there? Seen better there. But these are doing well as well, getting fruit on. So hopefully they'll be ready. And then them have add as well to fruit for our show. But a nice bit of sun on everything. And there's quite a bit of stuff now that is scented in the garden. And roses, the 4 roses I put in the corners, they've all come now. The last one to come is a bright red up this corner. And the scent of them is superb as well. That's what I like about the cannas. This is why I love this first one. The colours in the leaf of the Durban. And when you got the sun behind as well, superb. Still one of the best and favourites. But I ain't got a yellow one. And I saw this one during the week, 10 quid. I thought that'll do me. Nice yellow. So I sent to that chap. Saw this in was it Asda or Tesco? No, Asda. They've got their own feed, exactly the same as this medical grow. It's just like a posh grow more. There's the trace elements in as well. And I thought, right, that'll do. It's time for me feed of everything. That's the garden from top to bottom. All raised beds, fruit, everything. And that's how much I used in one dollar. Steak, I love my steak. Fried onions, mushrooms, thick gravy, black pepper. Russian Day get much of that. The warm many leftovers out of that. Right, blackberries, these are doing well. I've got me one there, obviously. This year is going to give me fruit. The 2 coming up here are going to give me fruit next year. So I'm training them up the wires there. One will be stopped. The other one will go at the top of the one I've got up now. Same as any raised bed. Because the compaction, I mean, you don't tread on raised beds or whatever, but the compaction of the rain, it compacts the raised beds and pots. There's loads of stuff I've got in pots. They've dropped down. So all I'm doing is top dressing. So I've top dressed in. Now I'm going to top dress in Japan and Japan are playing well as well. Boston. Why did I take this photo? Because of the name of one of the players. As soon as I saw it, I thought there's into her bruise because her name's Endo. Mycorrhizal fungi. There's Acto and Endo mycorrhizae. When I saw her name, I thought, I like you. Right, back to me pepper. That's the original pot he's going in. He's going in there now with a bottle on, and that's the one ready. So same size pot. So I'm now going to plant him into there, pot him on, grow him on a bit. And then when I've made my grow bag next week or something, then I can just transplant him from there into this one. Perfect. Yeah, that's telling me he's ready to be potted on. So it's my own brew. Exactly the same as when I used all my peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever. I'm not putting him right to the top level. I'm going to bury him a bit. So where I have buried, you get extra roots out of the plant. So you can see the drop there is about ½ inch. So when he does go in, which he's going in there, get him nice and upright. Turn him round so he's upright. Then firm on that lot in round the edges. Firming him upright. And then top dress. So I'm lifting that ½ inch. That'll give me extra roots. Give him a good weight to him. Right, sorting these out because there's large holes again on all of them. I put paper on the bottom. So when I am moving these about or if they go on the astroturf, no compost comes out. And then me hamster muck. I've nearly run out of this. I'm on the last bag. Good job of giving me 6 bags and I went and give them a talk. I've got to get in touch with her again. But that is beautiful stuff. There's no strength in it. Same as alpaca or rabbit muck. But it's a feed. Superb. This is Tropicana Var Passion. This is a lovely one. If I don't get the virus on it, you can see the colours in the leaves. Beautiful. But I'm still growing them on as there is a good one. And that's from my compost all the way through, and you'll see nice white thick roots. Tell me the plant likes it. And there's loads of babbies in, although I took the worms out like I've done this time. You still get worms because there's loads of eggs in there which I ain't seen. Some of them have hatched out. And these are another brew I'm making up, and I'm just adding different ingredients. So that's spent coffee grounds. That's rolled this biochar. There's the wood from a wood tree. Back on him again. Trying to get rid of that crap on the bottom. That's it. There's basalt rock dust. What was that one? I forget. You know me, different brews. There's seaweed. There's hops rubbed out. Leaf mold rubbed out. There's me goat muck. And then we got sand. That's wood burner ash. Worm casts. That lot mixed up together is my brew for the cannas with my compost. Keep him nice and upright, then firm him in round the outside. Perfect. Put the straw back on, and then your net on top. These pegs are brilliant. Good job I've kept all these bits. That's why I keep bits in it. Someday it'll come in handy. You might have years, but hang on to them. Give him a good watering. Tolerant, exactly the same again. You can see a bit of paper. Everything is still on there. Leave on there. Pot him on as well. I thought originally of just in the leaf there, and it's an old leaf, but I thought there's a bit of virus on him. But it weren't. He says no. It's always the first 2 leaves that look dodgy, but that's like on any plant. Class of seed leaves. But he says so far doing well. But he's another taller. So that's the 5 of them now potting on. That's their final potting while they're there. Obviously later on, another month or so, if we've still got the decent weather like it is now, and I need potting on again. This was an old photo I found during the week. Obviously our back garden a few years back. This is a few years old, and it looked bland. I mean, nice bit of colour around that border there. Look at this lot. Crap in it. Obviously that's why we have the lads. Because that was their football pitch. And that trellis was put there just to stop the ball smacking into the greenhouse. And that's why there's nothing down that border. Put that to that. Keep the missus happy. And me. And that's it, people. Hope you have enjoyed that lot.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Mick.
Scott, good to see you. Kath,
Yeah, and you, mate. Bit late
Steve,
tonight.
and you, Andy.